Welcome to Brooklyn. The Brooklyn Bridge, 1983, by my father, Edward Loper Jr. The most significant painting done in my lifetime. And why it is because I was with my father the day that he did this painting, the day that he did this painting. Its image has been in front of my eyes for a lifetime, and being part of this day and this event was just something truly special. And this painting will always remind me of so many parts about this day, more than a photo album ever could. So, one of the things that I want to share with you before I get into the story of this amazing Brooklyn Bridge is that what I have here is a full-size replica of the painting. The original painting is in private collection, and my father produced this painting. It is full-size, the juiciest colors we could possibly match to the original painting, and it's been mounted on foam core. So this is something that I can travel and I can use in lectures and just to have as a wonderful and vibrant example of my father's work in all of its glory. So the story behind this Brooklyn Bridge, okay? So this was a random day, 100th birthday of the bridge, 1983. I'm a 9-year-old floating around the house, just kind of playing, and my dad says, "Come on with me." So come on with me could mean anything coming from my dad. It could mean we're going to the lumber yard, we're going out to the gunsmith, we're going to go sit for a while with binoculars and watch deer and other types of wildlife move around, or we're going into Brooklyn for the day. And today was that day. So we were in Wilmington, Delaware, and it was about a 2-hour drive from Brooklyn. So we hopped in the van and we cruised up there, the Ford Econoline 150 with the venture vent and the white mags, 1982. Okay, so we did it in style. So we hopped in the van, and on this day, I don't know what my mother was up to. She obviously trusted my dad to take me on all kinds of adventures, and he did. And I don't know why. We were very close family, but this is what made this story so special is just my dad and I and this day. So we head on up there, and we don't really say much on the way. You know, we're kind of looking at license plates and maybe a small discussion about different license plates we see on the way up to New York. And then we get into the city. And as soon as we get into the city, my dad's looking down every single alley for that inspiration. We didn't go into the city with a plan. My dad woke up and said, "I want to do a painting in New York." And he did that. So he was that kind of person that he would put things aside and go do what he was really inspired to do, which I admired. So we look down this alley, and this location is at Dover and Front Street. Dover and Front Street, for those of you that know this location. So we sees out down there, and there's all kinds of things going on in the city as it's the 100th birthday of the Brooklyn Bridge. And the one street that my dad wants has a police barricade across it. So he says, "Hop out and move that barricade." So I hopped out. Wasn't the craziest request I've ever gotten from my dad. I pick up the barricade, hustle it over to the side. Dad drives by down the street and pulls around the corner. I hustle the barricade back, and I go down and join him, and he sets up his easel, and we get to work. And that little scene, that little part of the story is something that my dad always shared when we talked about this, and it was a very special part for me as well. Just being involved, not just sitting there watching my dad paint, but being involved in helping him get to some of these locations to make these paintings was something that I really enjoyed and look back at. I look back at those times so fondly. So dad gets down there and he sets up, and he's right on the corner, and you know, dad would paint for a few minutes and then sit back and just kind of look and take in the moment, and people would walk by and make all kinds of comments and discuss things, and many times not realize that the gentleman behind them was the artist. So they would comment about these things, and dad would giggle and smile, or sometimes we'd look at each other, and then he'd get back to work. And as I mentioned, dad knocked this out in a day. So in the 60s, 70s, 80s, my dad could do a painting like this in a few hours. And it was incredible to watch this come together. And that's where the audience would assemble around him and watch this just unfold. he'd be working feverishly up like this scene would never exist again. And to watch him do that was just very, very interesting. And part of that magic, and one of the things that I love so much about this man, one of the wonders about him. So we finished this painting. We grabbed a hot dog and a root beer or something. And we got out of the city and we came home, and this painting was leaning against the wall. It was never touched again. It dried, and it's just been an image that is, again, imprinted on my DNA, not just because my father created this, but because I was there with it. I saw the paint get applied to this canvas. So, and as for the painting itself, it is just a tremendous example and a full salute to New York City. I mean, you're not going to look at this and think Kansas. I mean, this bold, just very striking shapes. And I really enjoy in this painting, not only that my dad captured something that's so NYC, is that he wasn't afraid to take that sky and continue with that type of motion. It's not just going to give you blue with a little fluffy cloud and a little seagull cruising by. He breaks up this sky with all these colors and shapes. I mean, these circular shapes here are just beautiful. It's like stained glass. So there's a lot of different influences and things that I look for in this painting to recognize it as a Loper work. And, it's just the most glorious image that my dad has from my lifetime. So, lots more to discuss here. This painting will be brought up in many, many other ways, and as its comparison to the style and interests of my grandfather. So, The Brooklyn Bridge, 1983, by Edward Loper Jr.